Gentlemen, let's have a real conversation today. There's a question many men are curious about but rarely feel comfortable asking. Why do some women choose anal intimacy? Is it driven by pleasure, a desire for deeper emotional closeness, curiosity, relationship dynamics, or is there something else happening beneath the surface? Most of the answers people find online are disappointing. They are usually filled with myths, assumptions, exaggerations, or jokes that offer very little understanding. But the reality is much more nuanced. Human intimacy is never as simple as one reason or one explanation. Behind almost every intimate decision is a combination of biology, emotions, personal preferences, trust, and relationship factors. Human behavior is layered, and understanding it requires looking beyond stereotypes. When you truly understand the reasons behind intimate choices, something important happens. You stop making guesses. You stop jumping to conclusions. Instead, you begin to understand your partner with greater empathy, respect, and awareness. Before we dive in, if you enjoy honest conversations about men's health, relationships, confidence, and aging well, take a second to hit the like button. I'd also love to know where you're watching from, so leave your location in the comments below. It's always fascinating to see how many different parts of the world are part of this discussion. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do. This channel is dedicated to helping men better understand relationships and personal growth without confusion, embarrassment, or misinformation. Now let's get started. The first thing we need to clear up is one of the biggest misconceptions out there. Many people assume that women engage in certain intimate experiences only because of pressure, influence, or expectations from someone else. However, scientific research on human sexuality paints a very different picture. In reality, there is rarely a single reason behind any intimate choice. Human intimacy is influenced by curiosity, emotional connection, personal comfort, relationship quality, individual preferences, and many other factors. Most importantly, those factors vary from person to person and can even change over time. From a biological perspective, the brain is naturally drawn to both connection and variety. Different experiences can trigger different emotional responses depending on the level of trust, comfort, and context involved. Emotionally, intimacy is often connected to how valued, understood, and emotionally secure someone feels within a relationship. Practically speaking, choices are often shaped by communication, timing, and the level of understanding between partners. So when men ask, why would someone choose this? The most accurate answer is simple. There is no universal explanation. There are common patterns, but there is no one-size-fits-all answer. And understanding those patterns can lead to healthier communication, greater respect, and stronger relationships overall. But this is where the conversation becomes even more interesting. Once we move past the myths and assumptions, we can start looking at the genuine motivations that influence intimate decisions. And that's exactly what we'll explore today. My name is Dr. Rena, and for the past 12 years, I've worked in men's health, relationship psychology, and intimacy education. One lesson has stood out above all others. Most relationship struggles are not caused by a lack of attraction or desire. They happen because people misunderstand each other. When someone doesn't understand the reasons behind another person's behavior, they often create their own explanations. And those explanations are frequently wrong. Assumptions can create insecurity, confusion, frustration, and emotional distance. But when understanding replaces assumption, everything changes. Trust grows stronger, communication becomes easier, and intimacy begins to feel more natural and fulfilling. Now, I want to emphasize something important. This discussion is not about explicit instructions. It's about understanding human behavior, emotional motivations, and decisions based on mutual consent. Because every healthy, intimate relationship is built on three essential foundations: respect, communication, and willingness from both partners. Biologically, the nervous system responds strongly to feelings of safety. When a person feels emotionally secure, the body tends to relax. When pressure, fear, or discomfort are present, the body often responds with resistance. Emotionally, People feel closer when they know they can express themselves without being criticized or judged. Practically, relationships become stronger when both individuals feel free to communicate boundaries, preferences, and concerns openly. That's why the most important question is not simply, why would someone do this? The better question is, what does this choice represent in terms of trust, comfort, and communication within the relationship? Before discussing specific motivations, we first need to address the misunderstandings that often lead people in the wrong direction. Because confusion doesn't always come from lacking information. Sometimes it comes from interpreting behavior incorrectly. The first mistake is assuming there must be only one reason. Many people want a simple explanation for complex human behavior, but intimacy doesn't work that way. The brain processes emotional and physical experiences together. At the same time, people can feel curiosity, comfort, hesitation, excitement, and connection all at once. That's why honest communication matters far more than assumptions. The second mistake is overlooking emotional context. The exact same experience can feel completely different depending on trust levels, timing, relationship quality, and emotional safety. When someone feels secure and understood, their experience may be entirely different than when those conditions are missing. This is why communication remains one of the most important factors in any relationship. Not guessing, not assuming, simply asking and listening. The third mistake is viewing intimacy as a performance instead of a connection. The moment people start focusing on performance, pressure tends to increase. And as pressure rises, comfort often decreases. Biologically, stress creates tension throughout the body. Emotionally, it reduces enjoyment and weakens connection. Practically, it can create distance instead of closeness. Once people understand this, their perspective often changes completely, because meaningful intimacy is not primarily about performance. It is about connection, and genuine connection requires awareness and understanding. Now, let's look at some of the most common motivations behind intimate choices, not from a graphic perspective, but from a human and psychological one. The first is curiosity and personal exploration. Human beings are naturally curious. Within safe and trusting relationships, some people explore different experiences simply because they want to better understand their own preferences. The brain is naturally attracted to novelty. Emotionally, curiosity can create excitement and strengthen bonding. Of course, this only works when trust and communication are present. The second motivation is emotional connection. For many individuals, intimacy is less about a specific act and more about the emotional meaning attached to it. It can become an expression of trust, vulnerability, closeness, or commitment within a relationship. When emotional connection is strong, communication often becomes the foundation of the experience. The third factor involves relationship dynamics and comfort. Sometimes decisions are influenced by timing, circumstances, comfort levels, or the unique situation within a relationship. Not every choice is driven solely by preference. Context matters, and this is another reason why open conversations are so important. Assumptions frequently create misunderstandings where communication could have provided clarity. The fourth factor is pressure or uncertainty. In some situations, a person may feel hesitant, unsure, or uncomfortable expressing their boundaries clearly. This highlights why consent and communication are absolutely essential. Both emotionally and biologically, discomfort and uncertainty tend to create negative responses. Healthy relationships work to eliminate those feelings rather than create them. The fifth, and perhaps most important factor, is mutual trust and agreement. The healthiest experiences happen when both people genuinely feel respected, heard, and safe. That shared understanding forms the foundation of every healthy, intimate relationship. So, what does all of this mean for you? It comes down to one simple principle. Understanding your partner is far more valuable than trying to decode or interpret their behavior from a distance. If you want stronger relationships at any stage of life, focus on these core principles. Communicate openly rather than making assumptions. Listen with curiosity rather than judgment. Respect boundaries consistently. Prioritize comfort and trust over expectations. When these principles exist, intimacy becomes something entirely different. It becomes safe. it becomes meaningful, and it becomes deeply connected. There is one final point I want every man watching to remember. Getting older does not reduce your ability to create meaningful connection with your partner. What damages connection is misunderstanding, emotional distance, and poor communication. The moment you replace assumptions with awareness, relationships begin to change. Over the years, I have watched countless men improve their relationships simply by learning how to listen better and communicate more effectively. They didn't transform because they became different people. They transformed because they developed a deeper understanding of connection. So here is the key takeaway. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to know everything. What matters most is awareness, respect, and communication. If today's discussion gave you a fresh perspective, hit the like button so more men can benefit from this conversation. Leave a comment below and let me know which relationship topic you'd like me to cover next. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you join us. We're building a community where men can learn about health, confidence, and relationships without shame, confusion, or misinformation. I'm Dr. Nerita, and I'll leave you with one final thought. Strong relationships are never built on assumptions. They are built on understanding, and understanding begins the moment you choose to listen with a different mindset.